Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear viewers, today we begin our sixth topic of this saga of revisiting the history of the collection and transmission of the Qur'an. This sixth topic generally pertains to two of the very prominent Sahaba of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of them is Ubayy ibn Ka'b and the other one is Abdullah ibn Masud. Now, it is alleged that both these two Sahaba had Masahif or their own codices in which allegedly they had a different arrangement of the surahs than the one that we normally know of today and which was supposedly compiled by Usman radiyallahu anhu. There are two primary sources in this regard which hand down this arrangement to us. One of them is Al-Fahrist of Ibn Nadim and the other one is Suyuti's Al-Itqan. Now, in this regard, what needs to be noted, dear viewers, is that as far as Al-Fahrist is concerned, both the arrangements of Abdullah ibn Masud and Ubayy ibn Ka'b, both these arrangements seem to be eyewitness accounts. Whereas in the case of Al-Itqan, both the arrangements are not eyewitness accounts, but they are basically narratives from Kitab al-Masahif of Ibn Ashta, which depict this different arrangement. And if we go on to Al-Itqan, here again we find that Al-Itqan's record primarily depends on Ibn Ashta's Kitab al-Masahif, in which Ibn Ashta has actually cited a different arrangement for both Ubayy ibn Ka'b and Abdullah ibn Masud. And it is on the authority of Ibn Ashta that we find these lists which actually display a different arrangement of the Quranic surahs. We will, inshallah, in this session and in these talks, particularly relating to these two Masahif, will analyze what these two sources have handed down to us, and we shall also look at their chains of narration later on. Let me start off by reading to you the arrangement of the Masahif of Ubayy ibn Ka'b as is recorded by Al-Fahrist. And remember, as I had said, this seems to be an eyewitness account. And then I'll read out the rest of the lists as well as they are cited by both these two sources. So remember, it is basically Al-Fahrist of Ibn Nadim and Al-Itqan of Suyuti, which are the two primary books that we shall deal in. First, as I said, the tertib of or the arrangement of the companion Ubayy ibn Ka'b. I'm going to read it out from Al-Fahrist of Ibn Nadim. So the words are: قال الفضل بن شازان أخبرنا الثقة من أصحابنا قال كان تأليف الصور في قراءة أبي بن كعب بالبصرة في قرية يقال لها قرية الأنصار على رأس فرسخين عند محمد بن عبد الملك الأنصاري أخرج إلينا مصحفا وقال هو مصحف أبي رويناه عن آبائنا فنظرت فيه فاستخرجت أوائل الصور وخواتيم الرسل وعدد الآي فأوله فاتحة الكتاب. Now he is actually recounting the surahs and their arrangement. And till now we find that actually it is Fazl ibn Shazan who says that he was able to view this Musaf, which we shall see later on. And once he had seen this Musaf, and he says that this is how the Musaf was arranged. I dare say that the word Awail al-Suwar wa Khawatim al-Rasul, as has been displayed before you, it perhaps is there a tashif here, and we have that it should probably have been Khawatim al-Rasul as well, that he saw the initial parts of the surahs and their later parts. So, as I was saying, he is now recording the names or the names in which the surahs have been arranged in a different manner in the Masahif of Ubayy. So he says, فَأَوَّلُهُ فَاتِحَةُ الْكِتَابِ. The first one is Fatihatul Kitab or Surah Fatiha, and now he is now enumerating the rest of the surahs and the way they are named in the Masahif of Usman. Obviously the names have been taken from there, but the arrangement has a different arrangement. So أَوَّلُهُ Fatihatul Kitab, Al-Baqarah, An-Nisa, Al-Imran, Al-An'am, Al-A'raf, Al-Ma'idah, الذي التبست وهي يونس, Al-Anfal, At-Tawba, Hud, Maryam, Ash-Shu'ara, Al-Hajj, Yusuf, Al-Kahf, Al-Nahl, Al-Ahzab, Bani Israel, Al-Zumur, Hamim, Tanzil, Taha, Al-Anbiya, Al-Nur, Al-Mu'mineen, Hamim, Al-Mu'min, Al-Ra'd, Tasin, Mim, Al-Qasas, Tasin, Sulaiman, As-Saffat, Dawood, Surah Al-Swad, Yasin, Ashabul Hijr, Hamim, Ain Sin Qaf, Ar-Rum, Al-Zukhruf, Hamim As-Sajda, Surah Ibrahim, Al-Malika, Al-Fath, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Al-Hadid, At-Tahara. Tabarak al-Furqan, Alif Lam Mim, Tanzeel. Nuh, Al-Ahqaf, Qaf. Ar-Rahman, Al-Waqiya. Al-Jinn, An-Najm. Noon, Al-Haqqa, Al-Hashr. Al-Mumtahina, Al-Mursalat. Amma yatasa'aloon, Al-Insan. La uqsimu, Kuvirat. An-Nazi'at, Abas. Al-Mutaffifin, إذا السماء انشقت. التين. اقرأ باسم ربك. الحجرات. المنافقون. الجمعة. النبي عليه السلام. الفجر. الملك. الليل إذا يغشى. إذا السماء انفطرت. الشمس وضحاها. السماء ذات البروج. الطارق. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى. الغاشية. عبس. وهي أهل الكتاب لم يكن أول ما كان الذين كفروا. الصف. الضحى. ألم نشرح لك. القارعة. التكاثر. الخلع. الخلع 3 آيات. الجيد 6 آيات. اللهم إياك نعبد وآخرها بالكفار ملحق. اللمز. إذا زلزلت. العاديات. أصحاب الفيل. التين. الكوثر. القدر. الكافرون. النصر. أبي لهب. قريش. الصمد. Al-Falaq. An-Nas. And then we have these last words. فَذَلِكَ مِئَةُ وَسِتَّةَ عَشَرَ surah. Which means that in all these are 116 surahs. And we all know that the Qur'an that we know of actually has 114 surahs. So I have read out before you viewers the arrangement of the Masahif of Ubayy as has been recorded by Ibn Nadim al-Faris. I'm now going to read out the other 3 lists as well. And please bear with me. I will make it more easier for you by summarizing these lists in the form of a chart which will be displayed before you so that you can easily comprehend how these surahs have been arranged. And it is important to very minutely examine the words which have been mentioned, the way these surahs have been mentioned, because we find surahs, as you must have heard in the list that I've just read out before you, there are certain surahs which have a different name than the one that we are used to, and then there are certain additions or certain sentences that we find written. So I will inshallah summarize these contents of this narrative and the rest of the 3 as well once I have read them out. So I would just request you to just hear out the rest of the 3 lists, and then we will have a summary of all these 4 lists in a composite way in which you'll be able to comprehend the way these words have been mentioned in a more clear manner. So we now come to the tartib or the arrangement of the Masahif of Ubayy as is recorded by Al-Itqan, Suyuti's Al-Itqan. And I remember I had said that this is basically what Suyuti has recorded on the authority of Ibn Ashta. And we know that Ibn Ashta, like Ibn Abi Dawud, also has to his credit Kitab al-Masahif, which is not extant. So this arrangement of Ubayy ibn Ka'b's Masahif, the way it has been recorded in Al-Itqan, is now being read out before you. The words are: قال ابن أشتا في كتاب المصاحف أنبأنا محمد بن يعقوب حدثنا أبو داود حدثنا أبو جعفر الكوفي قال هذا تأليف مصحف أبي. Now this is till here we have the chain of narration, and now he actually reads out or records the arrangement of the Masahif of Ubayy. And he says, he starts off with the first of these surahs, and he says, Al-Hamd, Summa Al-Baqarah, Summa An-Nisa, Summa Al-Imran, Summa Al-An'am, Summa Al-A'raf, Summa Al-Ma'idah, Summa Yunus, Summa Al-Anfal, Summa Bara'a, Summa Hud, Summa Maryam, Summa Al-Shu'ara, Summa Al-Hajj, Summa Yusuf, Summa Al-Kahf, Summa Al-Nahl, Summa Al-Ahzab, Summa Bani Israel, Summa Al-Zumr, أولها حاميم, Summa Taha, Summa Al-Anbiya, Summa An-Nur, Summa Al-Mu'minun, Summa Saba, Summa Al-Ankabut, Summa Al-Mu'min, Summa Al-Ra'd, Summa Al-Qasas, Summa Al-Naml, Summa Al-Saffat, Summa Al-Sad, Summa Yasin, Summa Al-Hijr, Summa Hamim Ain Sin Qaf, Summa Al-Rum, Summa Al-Hadid, Summa Al-Fath, Summa Al-Qital, Summa Al-Zihar, ثم تبارك الملك ثم السجدة ثم إنا أرسلنا نوحا ثم الأحقاف ثم قاف ثم الرحمن ثم الواقع ثم الجن ثم النجم ثم سأل سائل ثم المزمل ثم المدثر ثم اقترب ثم حاميم الدخان ثم لقمان ثم حاميم الجاسية ثم التور ثم الزاريات ثم نون ثم الحاقة ثم الحشر ثم الممتحنة ثم المرسلات ثم عما يتساءلون ثم لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ثم إذا الشمس كفرت ثم يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء ثم النازعات ثم التغابن ثم عبس ثم المطففين ثم إذا السماء انشقت ثم والتين والزيتون ثم اقرأ باسم ربك ثم الحجرات ثم المنافقون ثم الجمعة ثم لما تحرم ثم الفجر ثم لا أقسم بهذا البلد ثم والليل ثم إذا السماء انفطرت ثم والشمس وضحاها ثم والسماء والطارق ثم سبح اسم ربك ثم الغاشية ثم الصف ثم سورة أهل الكتاب وهي لم يكن ثم الضحى ثم ألم نشرح ثم القارعة ثم التكاثر ثم العصر ثم سورة الخلع ثم سورة الحفظ ثم ويل لكل همزة ثم إذا زلزلت ثم العاديات ثم الفيل ثم لإيلاف ثم أرأيت ثم إنا أعطيناك ثم القدر ثم الكافرون ثم إذا جاء نصر الله ثم تبت ثم الصمد ثم الفلق ثم الناس. So this is the arrangement of the Masahif of Ubayy as is recorded by Ibn Ashta and has been cited in Suyuti's Al-Itqan, and you can see that they are as I pointed out earlier in the previous arrangement also and this arrangement also, there are certain words which need to be interpreted, and more notedly or more starkly you find that there are two extra surahs in Ubayy's Musaf. One of them is called Surah Khala and the other is called Surah Al-Hafd, and we had a different name in the previous recorded arrangement of Ubayy in Al-Faris, but inshallah we'll deal with them in my later sessions. So viewers, we now come to the third list, and this again is the list of Abdullah ibn Masud, and I'll read it out before you the way it has been recorded in Al-Faris of Ibn Nadim. And if you recall, I had said that this arrangement is basically an eyewitness account, and this eyewitness account has been recorded by Ibn Nadim. Let me read it out before you, and then inshallah we'll later on see how this list has been incorporated by Suyuti in his Al-Itqan, and we'll see how it varies in his particular book. So the words are: Qala al-Fazl ibn Shazan wajadtu fi Musafi Abdullah ibn Masud ta'lifa suwar al-Qur'an ala hadha at-tartib: Al-Baqarah, An-Nisa, Al-Imran, Alif Lam Mim Swad, Al-An'am, Al-Ma'idah, Yunus, Bara'a, An-Nahl, Hud, Yusuf, Bani Israel, Al-Anbiya, Al-Mu'minun, Al-Shu'ara, Al-Saffat, Al-Ahzab, Al-Qasas, Al-Nur, Al-Anfal, Maryam, Al-Ankabut, Al-Rum, Yasin, Al-Furqan, Al-Hajj, Al-Ra'd, Saba, Al-Malika, Ibrahim, Sad, Al-Lazi Kafaru, Al-Qamar, Al-Zumur, Al-Hawamim, Al-Musabbihat, Hamim Al-Mu'min, Hamim Al-Zukhruf, Al-Sajda, Al-Ahqaf, Al-Jasiya, Al-Dukhan, Inna Fatahna, Al-Hadid, Sabbaha, Al-Hashr, Tanzil Al-Sajda, Tanzil, or it could be read Al-Sajda, Qaf, Al-Talaq, Al-Hujurat, Tabarak Al-Lazi Biyadihi Al-Mulk, Al-Taghabun, Al-Munafiqun, Al-Jumu'ah, Al-Hawariyun, Kul Uhiya, Inna Arsalna Nuhan, Al-Mujadala, Al-Mumtahina, Ya Ayyuhan Nabiyyu Lima Tuharrim, Al-Rahman, Al-Najm, Al-Zariyat, Al-Tur, Iqtarabat Al-Sa'a, Al-Haqqa, Iza Waqa'at, Noon wal-Qalam, Al-Nazi'at, Sa'ala Sa'il, Al-Mudtassir, Al-Muzammil, Al-Mutaffifin, Abas, Hal Ata ala al-Insan, Al-Qiyamah, Al-Mursalat, Amma yatasa'aloon, Iza ash-shamsu kuwwirat, Iza as-sama'u fatarat, Hal ataka hadithul ghashiya, Sabbih isma rabbikal a'la, Wal-layli iza yaghsha, Al-Fajr, Al-Buruj, Inshaqqat, Iqra' bismi rabbik, La uqsimu bihadha al-balad, Wad-duha, Alam nashrah lak, Was-sama'i wat-tariq, Wal-'adiyat, Ara'ayta al-qari'a, Lam yakun allazina kafaru min ahli al-kitab, Ash-shams wa-duhaha, Wat-teen, Waylun likulli humaza, Al-fil, Li'ilafi Quraysh, At-takasur, Inna anzalnahu, Wal-'asr, Innal insana lafi khusr, Iza jaa nasrullah, Inna a'ataynaka al-kawsar, Kul ya ayyuhal kafirun, La a'budu ma ta'budun, Tabbat yada abi lahab, Wa tab, Ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab, Kul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, فذلك 100 سورة وعشر سور. وفي رواية أخرى الطور قبل الزاريات قال أبو شازان قاب ibn Sirin. Now this again seems to be a tasheef. In all probability it is قال. وكان Abdullah ibn Masud لا يكتب المعوذتين في مصحفه ولا فاتحة الكتاب. وروى الفضل بإسناده عن الأعمش قال في قوله في قراءة عبد الله حاميم سين قاف قال محمد بن إسحاق رأيت عدة مصاحف ذكر نساخها أنها مصحف ابن مسعود ليس فيها مصحفين متفقين وأكثرها في رق كثير النسخ وقد رأيت مصحفا قد كتب منذ 200 سنة فيه فاتحة الكتاب. So this, viewers, is the codex or the Musaf of Abdullah ibn Masud, as has been recorded by Ibn Nadim in his Fahrist. And the last of these lists is the one I'm now going to read out. And this is the tartib of Ibn Masud's codex as is recorded by Suyuti and Izrit Khan on the authority of Kitab al-Masahif of Ibn Ashta. So the words are قال ابن أشتا أيضا وأخبرنا أبو الحسن أبو النافع أن أبا جعفر محمد بن عمر بن موسى حدثهم قال حدثنا محمد بن إسماعيل لابن سالم حدثنا علي بن مهران الطائي حدثنا جرير بن عبد الحميد قال تأليف مصحف عبد الله ibn Mas'ud. And now he records the arrangement. At-Tawba, Al-Baqarah, An-Nisa, Al-Imran, Al-A'raf, Al-An'am, Al-Ma'idah, Yunus, Al-Mi'in, Bara'a, Al-Nahl, Hud, Yusuf, Al-Kahf, Bani Israel, Al-Anbiya, Taha, Al-Mu'minun, Al-Shu'ara, Al-Saffat. Al-Masani. Now these are actually the names of certain categories of surahs in which he has been grouped. At-Tawba refers to the longer surahs of the Qur'an. Al-Mi'in refers to surahs which are actually almost 100 verses or near about 100 verses which have, and we have Al-Masani which form a pair with the Mi'in. And these again are the names which people have grouped these surahs into. They have not been named so by the Prophet himself. We shall discuss this aspect later on. So I was reading before you the Ma'in surahs. So the Ma'in surahs are Bara, Nahl, Hud, Yusuf, Kahf, Bani Israel, Anbiya, Taha, Al-Mu'minun, Shu'ara, Saffat. And now we come to the Masani surahs. Al-Ahzab, Hajj, Qasas, Tasin, An-Naml, An-Nur, Anfal, Maryam, Ankabut, والروم وياسين والفرقان والحجر والرعد والسبأ والملائكة وإبراهيم والصاد والذين كفروا واللقمان والزمر والحواميم حامي المؤمن والزخرف والسجدة وحاميم عين سين قاف والأحقاف والجاثية والدخان وإنا فتحنا لك والحشر وتنزيل السجدة والطلاق ونون والقلم والحجرات وتبارك وتغابن وإذا جاءك المنافقون والجمعة والصف وقل أوحي وإنا أرسلنا والمجادلة والممتحنة ويا أيها النبي لما تحرم. So till here ends the Al-Masani surahs. And now we have the next category, or the fourth category, which is the Mufassal surahs. And these have been regarded as Mufassal as per one view because of the frequency of the Bismillahs which occur between the two surahs, implying the fact that these are the shorter surahs which are separated by in short spaces by the Basmala formula. So the Mufassal surahs read Ar-Rahman wal-Najm wal-Tur wal-Zariyat wa-Iqtarabat as-Sa'a wal-Waqi'a wal-Nazi'at wa-Sa'ala Sa'ilun wal-Muddassir wal-Muzzammil wal-Mutaffifin wa-Abas wa-Hal Ata wal-Mursalat wal-Qiyamah wa-Amma yatasa'alun wa-Iza ash-Shamsu kuwirat wa-Iza as-Sama'u fatarat wal-Ghashiyah wa-Sabbaha wal-Layl wal-Fajr wal-Buruj وإذا السماء انشقت وإقرأ باسم ربك والبلد والضحى والطارق والعاديات وأرأيت والقارعة ولم يكن والشمس وضحاها والتين وويل لكل همزة وألم تر كيف ولإيلاف قريش وألهاكم وإنا أنزلناه وإذا زلزلت والعصر وإذا جاء نصر الله والكوثر وقل يا أيها الكافرون وتبت وقل هو الله أحد وألم نشرح وليس فيه الحمد ولا المعوذتان. So it specifies in the end that neither we find Surah Hamd or Surah Fatiha, or neither the last two surahs of the Qur'an. So viewers, thank you for bearing with me with patience, because I had to read out all these four lists before you so that you could have an idea of how differently and how very the nature in which these lists are arranged is so diverse that when we later on analyze these lists, we shall find how these discrepancies can be resolved or they cannot be resolved. So I would now summarize these four lists before you and make it more easier so that you are able to comprehend in the form of a chart how these lists have been arranged in these codices. So now being displayed before you is a chart in which you will find Ibn Masud's surahs, the way they have been arranged, and Ubayy's surahs, the way they have been arranged in his codex. You'll find four columns. The first column will display Ibn Masud's arrangement, the way it has been recorded by Al-Itqan. And the second column is recording the surah's arrangement, the way it has been recorded in Al-Fahrist of Ibn Nadim. And then we have Ubayy's arrangement of Al-Itqan in the third column, and then we have Ubayy's arrangement in Al-Fahrist in the fourth column. And these columns you can see in the chart before you are actually numbering the surahs, and the numbers that you find here are actually the numbers of the Usmanic surahs, the numbers which relate to the Usmanic codex. Thus, for example, number 2 would relate to Surah Al-Baqarah, and number 4 would relate to Surah An-Nisa, number 3 will relate to Al-Ma'idah, to Al-Imran, the way we know that these surahs have been arranged in the Usmanic codex. So kindly view this chart on your screen, and I shall read out and see how these charts have been interpreted, or the narratives have been interpreted, in fact, because some of the areas, as I said earlier on, need interpretation because the sentences or the expressions there are not absolutely clear to give a single interpretation. We find that scholars have differed in interpreting these lists, and I am now going to read out some of the explanations or some of the further elucidations in this regard, so that we can find how this particular arrangement, as has been recorded by these two sources, becomes more comprehensible. Now, as you can see, the first footnote is on Surah Al-Baqarah as recorded in the first column. You might not recall, but here I'd like to just point out that the text at this place says that from here begin At-Tiwal surahs, which means the seven or the longer surahs of the Quran. This is what the text says at this place. The footnote number 2, which is on Surah At-Tawba, again in the first column, the text at this place says that from here begin the Al-Ma'in surahs, again, which I've already read out before you. So these have been categorized the way these surahs fall in a particular classification. Now, the third footnote relates to the fourth column, which of course is Ubayy's Musaf as recorded by Al-Fahrist. And this says that the words written here are that the author is not exactly sure if it is Surah Yunus, which is the 10th surah. So although we have Surah Yunus written here, But if you recall that Fazl ibn Shahzan had said that he is not exactly sure if this is Surah Yunus, which is the 10th surah. Now we move on to the later on to the other footnotes, and if you can see the fourth footnote that I'm going to point out is again in the first column. It is on 33, which is Surah Ahzab, and the text at this place says that from here begin the Al-Mathani surahs, which I have just explained before you, which of course means the surahs which occur right after the Al-Ma'in surahs, and they are named so because perhaps they form a pair or they immediately follow the Ma'in surahs. Now the fifth footnote is on Surah Zumar, and this is in the third column, and the third column you would recall records Ubayy's arrangement as recorded by Al-Itqan of Suyuti. So this footnote reads, the words mentioned are Zumar awwaluha Hamim. It is known that Surah Zumar does not contain the word Hamim. This is another fact. There can be two possibilities. Either the words awwaluha Hamim are a scribal error and hence should be ignored, or they refer to another surah. So these are the two possible interpretations, and we'll find that scholars have been divided in this regard. So Arthur Jeffrey has adopted the first of these possibilities, and Schwally has adopted the second of these possibilities. Schwally is of the opinion that these words either refer to Surah Fussilat, which is Surah number 41, or to Surah Az-Zukhruf. So therefore, we can see these scholars, because this is subject to interpretation, how they differ in interpreting this particular area. Now the sixth footnote is in the fourth column, 45th surah, which is Surah Jasiyah, and this again is a note on Ubayy's arrangement as recorded in Al-Fahrist. So the actual words are Hamim at-Tanzil. In all probability, this refers to Surah Jasiyah, since all other Hamim surahs are already mentioned. Schwally and Jeffrey also hold this view. So this is how we need to interpret this sixth footnote, or this number, because the actual words are Hamim at-Tanzil. Now, as far as number 7 is concerned, this you will find, viewers, on number 27 in the fourth column. Now, in all probability, this refers, the actual word written here is Tasin Suleiman. And Tasin Suleiman is something which we find is the name of Surah Naml. So that is why it has been named as number 27. And number 28, or the next footnote occurs at number 8, which is again in the fourth column, and this is again Ubayy's Masahif as recorded by Al-Fahrist. And here we find that this refers to, the word written is Dawood, and this refers to Surah Saba. In my opinion, this is a word to Surah Saba, because Dawood is something which is clearly expressed. The story of Dawood and the tale of Dawood is found in Surah Saba, and that is why it has been called as number 34. Now, the actual words written are in number 9, and the way they have been written are, and the ninth footnote you'll find, viewers, in the second column, and this is Ibn Masud's surah arrangement as is found in Al-Fahrist. And the words written are Al-Hawamim Al-Musabbihat, which, as observed by Jeffrey, is an introduction to the title of the group of six succeeding surahs. And this is what Arthur Jeffrey has surmised. So basically, these footnotes that I'm reading out are explanations from these two authors, primarily Schwally and Arthur Jeffrey, because it is these people who have interpreted these lists. Now, let's go on to the 10th footnote, and this occurs in the first column, as you can see, and I have placed it on number 40. Now, the text originally in Arabic says, from here begin the Hawamim. Now, let's go on to the number 11 footnote, and you'll find it in the fourth column, placed over surah number 35. Now, actually, the word written is Al-Malaika. The word written in the text is Al-Malaika, and this refers to Surah Fatir, which is the 35th surah. Let's move on to number 12 footnote, and you can see that this is on the second column, written in the second column above 59. Now, let me also explain this part. The actual words written are Sabbaha Hashr, which, as observed by Jeffrey, are part of the title of the surah and have bothered both Schwally and Flugel. So this is what Jeffrey has said in his materials for the history of the text of the Qur'an. But in his opinion, it is basically Surah Hashr. Now, the 13th footnote, yours, you can see in the fourth column as well. And the actual word written is At-Tahar, which in all probability are Az-Zihar. This is the name of Surah 58, which is called Al-Mujadala. So this is something which is very clear. Now, as far as the next footnote is concerned, it is footnote number 14. And viewers, you'll find this footnote number 14 in the first column above 55. So the first text, the text at this place says that from here began the Al-Mufassal surahs. So this is how it is said. Now let's move on to the next footnote. This is footnote number 15, and this is again in the fourth column. And the surah number 80 is mentioned here, again after surah number 88 below. So although we find in the fourth column this footnote number 15 specifying the fact that this is surah number 80, but there is an anomaly here, because this again is repeated after 88, as we shall later analyze as well. We now move on to footnote number 16. As you can see that this is again in the fourth column and is written above 95, the 95th surah. And again you will find an anomaly here, that this 95 is mentioned again after surah 105 below. So you'll see that this occurs again after surah 105. Again, these anomalies I'm just pointing out, we'll discuss later on how these lists have actually presented these surah numbers. Now in footnote number 17, again this is in the fourth column, and this is above surah number 65. The actual words are An-Nabi alayhi as-salam. Both Shawli and Jeffrey also interpret this to refer to surah 65. So Shawli and Jeffrey, they think that it's surah number 65, and that is why we have named it as surah Talaq, which is An-Nabi alayhi salam. Let's move on to footnote number 18. Again, this you will find in the fourth column above number 98. Now, the actual words mentioned at the place of surah 98, which is surah Al-Bayyinah, are Lam yaku awwalu ma kana allazina kafaru. The words awwalu ma kana are not found in the Quran of Usman. So this is a variation if it is to be called so. Now, as far as the 19th footnote is concerned, viewers, you will find it again in the fourth column, which of course is the Ubayy's codex as recorded by Al-Fahrist. And this boasts of a new surah or a new name of the surah, and it is called Al-Khalar. And the text mentioned at this point that the surah has 3 verses. So the text just says that this surah has 3 verses. And next you'll find the footnote number 20, viewers, which again is in the fourth column, which again of course displays the list as recorded by Al-Fahrist of Ubayy's codex. And this again names a new surah, which is called Al-Jid. And this, in my opinion, seems to be another name of Surah Hafth, which is again a surah which has a similar name, but it is found in Ubayy's Masahif, but recorded by Al-Itqan. So Al-Itqan and Al-Fahrist both record these surahs, but by different names. So Al-Khalar is the same name for both the surahs in both the arrangements of Al-Itqan and of Al-Fahrist. But as far as Al-Jid is concerned, in Ubayy's Musaf as recorded in Al-Itqan, it is called Al-Jid, but in that of Ubayy's Musaf in Fahrist, this is called Al-Jid, and in Al-Itqan it is called Al-Hafth. Okay. The text at this place, I am talking about footnote number 20, which again refers to Al-Jid. The text at this place mentions that this surah has 6 verses. The first of these 6 are Allahumma iyyaka na'budu, and the last of them is bil kuffari mulhid. So this is how it portrays this. Now footnote number 21. This viewers you will find in the second column, and this again is Ibn Masud's Al-Fahrist. And you'll find it over surah number 103. This surah is mentioned with a variant which is discussed in a later section. You'll find that this actually has, the way it has been mentioned is in a different format than we actually have it. The same is the case with surah, footnote number 22. And when we come to footnote number 23, footnote number 22 is above 109, which again occurs in the second column. Now, as far as footnote number 23 is concerned, this surah is mentioned with a variant which is discussed in a later section. Again, this is the same situation, that surah number 23 has a different variant. We will discuss this later on. Now, let's go on to the footnote number 24. Now, this footnote number 24 occurs in the fourth column right after 114, after mentioning the last surah of the Quran, the list ends on the words, all this comes out to 116 surahs. I've just read out the Arabic words earlier on. And when we move on to footnote number 25, which is again in the second column, over 112, the list ends on the words, all this comes out to 110 surahs. So this is the list of Ibn Masud as recorded by Al-Fahrist. Now let's go on to footnote number 26, and this is in the first column, and the first column, as you would recall, is Ibn Masud's codex as recorded by Al-Itqan. So the text at this place says that Surah Fatiha and Surahs Falak and Surah Nas, that is the Mu'awwazatayn, they do not exist in this list. So this is the summary, viewers, of all these four lists, the way they have been narrated in these two books. I am sure you must have found this slightly complicated because the way these lists are mentioned in these two books, they have a little complication because the names and the texts are not exactly very, very comprehensible when we have to rely on certain interpretations. I have tried my best to summarize these four lists before you. You can see them being displayed in columns for you. And inshallah, in my next talks, we shall analyze these lists and we shall see how they stand to the test of historical criticism. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.